Hi, everyone, and welcome to the July Mother Mary Monthly Message on 7/7 of 2022. My name's Samarah Grace. I've been channeling Mother Mary since 1998. And each month she brings to you sort of the temperature of what's going on and some wisdom and some ideas about how you might want to live an even happier life. So without further ado, I'm just going to close my eyes for a second and see what Mother Mary has to say. Those of you that are joining on Zoom, after the recording, if you want to stay, we'll sort of have some time to have a Q&A and talk about life and anything on the message that you want to clarify. So. Well, hello to all of you. And I think what I want to just remind you about is last month for 6/6, I said, it's time to graduate, right? I said, okay, you've got your mortarboard on, throw it in the air, time to graduate. And many of you were very happy with that idea. And then you sort of like the graduates from high school and college, you wandered off the campus and kind of went, okay, what now, right? What now? I've graduated, but I'm not sure. You know, what is my job? What am I meant to be doing? Where am I to go? So this month I want to talk a little bit about that. So
get my earphones on. Forgot my ears.
So what I want to say really is that what you're meant to do has to do with a very beautiful energy that I'll call valor, V-A-L-O-R, valor. And it's a word that I'm sure you learned at some point in your educational life, but you may or may not have really understood, you know, what exactly does that mean for me to be a person that has valor. And I think I want to start with the first letter of valor, which of course is a V, and remind you that it's really, when do you feel valuable? When do you feel valuable? And how do you feel valuable? And are you valuable even if you're sitting in your living room and not, you know, serving food to the homeless? Are you valuable if you're just taking a walk or admiring a tree? You know, valuable. And I think that so much of what's happening in the world right now is a confusion about what is valuable. What is valuable? And so I think that part of what I want you to focus on in July is, how can I just, first of all, know that I'm valuable, whether or not I'm doing anything? And then when I choose to take who I am and put it into the world, there's an aspect of contribution that helps me to feel even more enlivened, even more valuable. And I think that when you watch things on the news right now that are so difficult and so destructive, it's easy to feel disheartened. It's easy to feel like, you know, what's the world coming to? And the reality is, what the world is coming to understand is that they've been valuing the wrong things. They've been putting value in certain aspects that are really not meant to be valued to the extent that they're being held up in high regard. So valuable is the first aspect of creating valor for yourself. To see, I am valuable. I am valuable. And then however I want to share myself, that's sort of icing on the cake. But just by being alive and being aware, I am valuable. And so with that also comes an understanding that in order to be valuable, it's often paired with vulnerability. Because what happens is, if you value recycling, right? And then just as what happened here in Samarah's town, it wasn't viable economically. And so they took away all the different little places where you could bring cardboard and bottles and this and that. And now it's a trek to try to recycle because it wasn't valued. It wasn't valuable enough. And so it becomes disheartening unless you just say, well, all right, I have to pack my car and take it to the further place and do it. And if that's what I want to do. But there's an aspect of vulnerability because you begin to feel like the world is not supporting what you value. And so there's often some irritation and anger that comes with that. Like, why would they take away the recycling? It's such a good thing to have. Well, understand something. Right now, the economic wheels and the economic engines that have been running for many years in a certain way aren't really operating in the same way. And you can blame it on all sorts of things, but we don't like to blame. We just say it's not working. And so in order to be in the values of your valuability, if you will, you really have to just understand, do your best to act in the values and to be valuable in the way that you feel. And knowing that sometimes you will feel vulnerable around that, and that's all right. Because valor is all about valuing yourself, your body, your life, your friends, the environment, etc. So that's the first part of valor. The second letter, of course, in valor is an A. And for today, in my little lesson, I guess, I'll just use the word alignment. So to choose what is in alignment with what you value. And so for many of you, it's really all about understanding that every choice that you make, either economically or physically or with friends or where you choose to go or where you choose to live, has an endeavor of being in alignment or not with who you are and what you want to create. And so the more that you allow yourself to make the choices that are in alignment with what is truly valuable for you, now you begin to have a life that is congruent for yourself, rather than feeling out of sorts or even out of kilter with that which is important to you. And so in that process of alignment, you may find yourself no longer contributing to certain gatherings. You may find yourself contributing to other causes or gatherings or people or whatever. So doing what's in alignment. The L is very simple. It's love. It's love. And at the same time, I want to just take a moment and help you understand that love isn't always saying yes. Sometimes it's saying no. And so to love is to, again, come back to what you value and what's in alignment and choose that which is loving for you and valuable for you and in alignment for you. So now we come to O, and O, of course, is openness. You know, I smile when I see all of your faces because it's been many years now that Samarah and I have been traveling, and some of you are from 20 years ago or 10 years ago, or some of you 2 minutes ago, and that's all right. But the opportunity to be valuable, to be aligned with your values, to be loving, it's always here. It's always here. And so it's a chance to really understand, how am I spending my time? What is the opportunity, the other O, if I am open? You know, how can I interact? And just a moment or so ago, Janelle and Samarah were chatting about many years ago in North Carolina, and then realizing where she's going to be with Luann was very close to where Janelle is going to be. And so here's an opportunity, right? And if one is open, then one works out, whether it's lunch or dinner or, you know, whatever it happens to be. And out of that, if you look at these faces on the screen, you begin to see this web of light that gets built and more brilliant with each person who joins. Because the love and the openness create connections that will withstand anything. All of you know that you can call each other, call Samarah, whatever, and get support, get love, get, you know, whatever you need that can be offered from each other. And so that openness and that opportunity are really key today, because as the Chinese saying goes, chaos is another word for opportunity, right? And so in this world that is changing right now, because literally the value system is changing. You know, if you have no food, you certainly value having food above many, many other things. And so what's been happening in Ukraine, just for instance, and it's been happening for years in other lands without quite the media attention, is that people begin to realize, if I have no food, if I have no water, that's not much of a life. And so it's realizing that all of this world is interdependent. And so you are here to be one of the bringers of love and light. And so to be valuable, to align yourself with that which you do value, to be loving to yourself and others, to look for the opportunities, to be with each other and to be of service. And I think, again, you could use lots of other words today, but for the R for today, I want to talk about respect rather than responsibility, which is another possibility. People in the world right now are so inflamed and disrespectful to each other. And what that does is just exacerbates everything. So I do not ask you to agree with someone who has a different political point of view or religious point of view or ethnic point of view or whatever. But to begin to realize, the more that you allow these differences, and I'm not talking about violence, I'm not talking about that, but I'm just talking about a different point of view. The more that you can just respect that someone can have a different point of view and acknowledge that and let them know kindly that you have a different point of view. What begins to happen is the temperature can come down and people can really talk to each other and listen to each other and hopefully, you know, just cool down all of this rage and anger directed at each other's differences. And so it begins really with understanding that when you sit in your valor, when you sit in your value, and you know that you are valuable, and you're aligned with that, and you're loving with that, and you're open to opportunity with that, and then you can respect someone else. Now what starts to happen is you start to have these individual strong points of light that allow for these differences, that allow for people, again, to believe, you know, that the Martians are coming or whatever, you know, it's all right. You can say, well, that's interesting, right? That might be what I believe, it might not be what I believe, but that's interesting. And to bring it all the way back down, perhaps, once the temperature has cooled down, ask them, what do you value in this world? And what do you value in your life? That's a different conversation, and one that I think could lead to many more opportunities for kindness and respect with each other. And so this July, and also really for August as well, is about really owning your graduation that we spoke of last month and becoming a sort of an emissary of light. You know, Richard and I and others started Mary's Angels, and what that is really another template for everything that I've just mentioned, which is about just being a loving person in the world, being a person of love and kindness in the world. And that really does require you to value yourself, know what you value, but don't fight with others about it. Let them have what they value. But by the same token, ask them, what do you value? Do you really value guns? Or is that about worry that, this will happen or that'll happen, Can we value each other? Can we value the earth? Can we value the water, et cetera, et cetera? So I'd like all of you to be people of valor, who value and are aligned with love, who are open to opportunity, and who carry that vision of respect in yourself, and for others. And what that will really do, as I said, is create these, the easiest way to say it is to create a new humanity that is not tied to, I'm Irish or I'm Catholic or I'm this or I'm that. That can all be true. But what you're really aligned with is your highest purpose and your highest self, which is here to be an emissary of light, or as I like to say, one of Mary's angels. So before we end the recording and go to the questions, I'm going to just take a moment and ask you all, and you can unmute yourselves in just a moment, ask yourselves to put one quality into the world that you would like to have thrive and grow. And so I'm going to start by saying valor. And I'm going to come back to Janelle. What is the word you would put into the world?
Okay. Kindness.
Kindness. Thank you. Thank you. June, how about you?
Understanding.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine? Just with those two, just take a moment and just feel the world shifting to include kindness and understanding. Beautiful. So let's come to Lori. Lori, what would be your word?
I'm feeling acceptance. Acceptance is an important value, an important quality.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lori. And again, acceptance, for me, this is a very important distinction. Acceptance doesn't mean that you accept violence or you accept, something destructive, but it means that you have an acceptance of differences in other people. And so we have to keep our discernment in there as well. But I love that also. Peter, have you got a word for us?
Yeah, I would say compassion.
Oh my goodness, Peter, I want to have like a big ice cream scoop and add compassion. I love that. I absolutely love that because, again, compassion is understanding everyone is fighting their own battle and on their own journey. And you don't know what happened to them yesterday or 10 minutes ago that made them behave perhaps in a way that you found upsetting. So to have compassion is extraordinary. My beloved Carmel down there in Australia, what would you add, darling?
I would add, excuse me, respect, but respect for all beings, for the animals. I'm going to bring them in.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
just sort of cut off there. Yeah. Yep.
Absolutely. It's so important. It's funny. Samarah was at the chiropractor's yesterday, laying on the table, like waiting for the adjustment. And the chiropractor said, "Do you have a dog in your car?" It's like, what? And of course, she doesn't have a dog and she didn't leave the dog in the car, but someone had left their dog in the car in Phoenix where it's like 100 degrees. And so they called and got the police to come and rescue the dog. But it was like, you know, again, but having the respect and the acceptance that perhaps this was right next to the urgent care. So it's possible someone had to run in there, you know, we want to understand that there might have been an emergency of some kind, but thank you. Oh, Louise Moon, what would you like to see in our vision?
I was going to say kindness and compassion, but another word that comes to mind is caring for Mother Earth, caring for people, just caring. Yeah.
Yes. You know, that's exactly having that desire to make a difference in some way, to care for the earth in whatever ways you're guided. Beautiful. Frank, do you have a word for us?
Well, I was going to pick my usual word of peace, but since this is a little different, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought I would use truth because I just feel like it's lacking so much everywhere, and it's the basis of somewhat of our spirituality, I think.
You know, next time I think we'll have to spend a whole hour on that one, Frank.
Oh,
because
good.
I think it's such an important thing right now, because sometimes people talk about my truth. You know, this is my truth, right? And there's your truth and my truth and her truth and his truth, and you know, and I think that it's an important thing to really delve into, and also to take a look at what is really true. And there's so many levels of disinformation that are happening right now that are then passed on by other people because they read it online or someone said it or whatever. And I do think that when one moves into connecting with your own higher power, however that works for you, there's an energy of truth. And this is what Jesus was talking about when he said, know ye the truth and the truth shall set you free. It's that truth. So it isn't necessarily to do with some factual encounter out there. It's truly an energy of congruence with a timeless energy of spirit. But thank you.
Could I add something to that?
Yes, please.
I was on a walkway in a park and there was a garden on either side of me, and I became very aware, and the colors were brilliant. And I said, these flowers are true. And that is just the word that came to me. And then they said back to me, you are true because you are recognizing that we are true. And we were all in truth in that moment.
Ooh, I have chills on that.
It was
Thank you.
beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And that's what we're speaking about, you know, exactly. So it isn't, you know, this one on the news is true. And no, it's exactly that. It's the true nature of each of you and of the animals and of flowers and trees, etc. Thank you, Lori. That was beautiful. Luann from North Carolina, what word would you like to add?
I'm thinking courage. Courage to shift from fear to love.
Yes, yes. You know, fear has a terrible price. And so sometimes paying that price to be courageous, that feels huge in that moment, right? In the moment, it feels like, ah! But it's not that big a price. To live in fear is a much greater price. But thank you, thank you. And our beautiful Jill from the wilds of Canada, what would you add? You have to unmute yourself, Jill.
Sorry. A lot of words have already been used, so I'm just going to say illumination.
Say what?
Illumination.
Illumination.
To radiate now.
Yes, yes. To live in the light, to be the light. Absolutely. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And right above you, the Jill from Ohio. What would you like to add?
Well, Frank took mine,
Okay.
but I guess another one would be trust, which is a lot with truth also.
Yes, I think that it goes with all of that, because when you have courage, you are trusting that there is something or someone guiding you to whatever action you're taking. But yes, trust is a valuable part. Thank you. Dee, how about you?
I was going to go with love, but we need that. That's the foundation of it all. But what keeps coming up is actually two words: inner peace.
Mm.
Inner peace.
Inner peace is so valuable because, again, to have all the qualities that we've been speaking about and not feel peaceful, it's not going to work. So thank you. Yes, inner peace is very valuable. And Danae, what would you like to add?
Well, I thought of something and it was used. Then I thought of something else that was used. Then I thought of something else was used. And so I'm just going with stillness.
Mm.
Being, just being in the moment. But I have to laugh. Everything I thought was, and we're all on the same page.
Well, and I think that's part of why I wanted to do it now and actually have it on the video for anyone who watches it later, because I think when you look at this group here and any who come later, it really is the people who have already graduated. I guess we'll come back to last month, already graduated in the sense of, that being on the spiritual path has more meaning than not.
Truth.
And all of you have had your struggles. All of you have chosen whatever. Nobody's gotten out without a few bumps and bruises here and there. But nonetheless, you're still here. You're still saying, I want to be part of the illumination. I want to be part of the peace. I want to be a person who brings love and valor and light. So yes, many things get repeated because they're all so valuable for our valor. And Richard, do you have one that hasn't been mentioned yet?
I have a few, of which I'm going to choose helpfulness.
Say again?
Helpfulness.
Helpfulness. Wow. That makes me pause in a good way. I'm only here to be helpful. I'm only here to truly be helpful. And I think that, in the spirit of so many that have walked before you and are still here with us, it's a different way of looking at the world. It's not what's in it for me, what can I get, which is sort of, that's the path that's dying, really. But it's really saying, how can I make your day brighter? How can I bring who I am into this equation to have it be more loving? So I love that helpfulness. Thank you. I think we missed Frances, right? You're still on mute, darling.
It's hard. For some reason, my computer is not, I keep clicking on it. Finally.
Okay. You got it.
Yeah. Oh God. Being that I work with 144 and more attributes of mastery, it's like to limit this to one word. I'm going to use two that come to me because everybody else has again used all the previous things I thought of. Communication and cooperation.
Beautiful.
Absolutely wonderful. Because again, communication comes back to respect, comes back to listening to each other. I love it. Thank you. And cooperation. We can achieve so much more in cooperation than competition. So thank you. Yeah. All right, let me see. I think I've missed a couple of people. Trina. Hi, darling.
Hello. I think mine is sovereignty.
Ah,
Sovereign.
You know, that don't be apologetic for what you need, for what's right, for, you know, what you can stand behind and what you feel good in your heart and soul about.
yes. Sovereignty. See, aren't these all wonderful? I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you. Lynn.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. I was going to say acceptance, because I was with a group of people today that were not accepting, and I was sitting there thinking that. But another thing that came to my mind is self-love, because if everyone was good with that, I think what we project out would be something very different. And I was with Ida this morning, so we were talking about that, and yeah.
Self-acceptance is huge, because otherwise, as you said, you're going around projecting your own wounds onto everyone else. Yes.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you. Virginia, we're down to the wire here. You got one?
Yes, I do. Generosity, and not just financially, but with your energy and your time.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Anyone? Yes, I didn't hear from you. Right there. You right there. No. Okay. Did you unmute? There you go. That's always the biggest challenge, right? The muting and the unmuting. Let me know when you're ready. You're still on mute. I wish I'd written all these down as we were going, but I'll listen to the video and get them all. All right, well, let me know if you figured that out. So we've named all these qualities, and I just want to acknowledge and honor, as I look at all of you, you all have all of them. You do. You have cooperation, you have respect, you have sovereignty, you have acceptance, you have generosity. All of you have this already. Imagine that. So you've already graduated. You don't have to strive to have more of this. Now it is what Danae just mentioned. It's being it, right? It's just being it, and knowing that that is not only enough, it is extraordinary. It's just extraordinary. And so we often, I know I went over the usual time that I do, but that's all right. Let's just send some Reiki, and then I'll turn off the recording and listen to any questions that we have. So just feel all those qualities that we just mentioned, thriving and growing and being valued in the world, that this is what people value: sovereignty, respect, co-creation, acceptance, generosity, peace, all the things that were mentioned. And just see all these beautiful new children coming in who have all of these things already throughout their systems, being able to stay true to themselves and thrive in every way, to have this new vision of our earth, a place of cooperation, generosity, love, respect, and valor. And so it is. And so in just a moment, I'm going to turn off the recording. Any of you that would like to stay, I would love to hear from you and answer any questions. But goodbye for all of you that are watching later on online. This is Samarah Grace at samarahgrace.com, saying be well, be loving, be kind, and be a person of valor.